Good evening, and welcome to the Civil War Information Channel. My name is Jake Flaggart, and on behalf of all of us here at CWIC, we are so glad you decided to join us today. We are live with our broadcast overviewing the events of the American Civil War. Throughout the time period of 1861 and 1865, the Civil War became the bloodiest and deadly war held on American homestead. As it began in 1861, the Union was near disaster. The question of slavery would be determined over the course of the next 5 years. We now go live to Leilani as she fills us in on the events that transpired in the year 1861.
Thanks, Jake. In January, 6 states seceded from the Union, the following February creating the Confederate States of America. Kentucky and Jefferson Davis was appointed President of the Confederacy. On March 4th, Abraham Lincoln of the Republican Party was introduced as 16th President of the Union, winning 180 electoral votes and 40% of the popular vote. The South fired the first shot of the Civil War at 4:30 a.m. on April 12th upon the Union station at Fort Sumter. As Lincoln had informed the South he was merely sending supplies for the fort, the South instead opened fire upon the Union in Charleston Harbor. The following day, Major Anderson surrendered at the fort with no casualties except for the one during mishap while carrying out a 100-gun salute. After the attack, Virginia, Tennessee, Arkansas, and North Carolina seceded from the Union. President Lincoln now had a reason to engage in fire and requested 75,000 militiamen. On May 24th, Confederates take home a victory at the Battle of Bull Run on July 21st, with an estimated 2,900 casualties for the North and 1,700 from the South. Lastly, Abraham Lincoln signed a bill creating the Navy Medal of Honor, America's first medal, on December 21st. Back to you, Jake.
Thank you, Leilani. We now go to Trey as he fills us in on the events that have transpired in the year 1862.
Thanks for the introduction, Jake. I'm Trey Basson, reporting you live from 1862. USS Grant just finishing capturing Fort Henry and is on his way across the country to capture Fort Denmark. Whatever. I suck at that name. See, with these captures of both forts, it allows Kentucky and Tennessee not to recede from the Union, and allowed us to keep defending forts against the South. Leading on nearly a month after initiating their campaign against the Confederates in southwest Missouri, General Samuel Curtis' Union Army of the Southwest had pushed into Arkansas and established a defensive position against bluff overlooking Lake Little Sugar Creek. At the same time, General Earl Van Dorn was appointed to take command of the Confederate forces in the Trans-Mississippi with the objective of destroying Curtis and his 2,000 Federals. Rather than attacking Curtis' fortifications, Van Dorn proposed to march around the Union right flank near Southern forces, divided Van Dorn's two wings under the generals Benjamin McClellan's and Sterling Price were separated by Pea Ridge and subsequently accompanied to fight too. With a Federal army of more than 100,000 well-supplied soldiers poised in the eastern flank, the citizens of Richmond, Virginia were widely aware news, with the Chinton lines among the swampy Chickahominy River with the Union Army after victories of the Fort Henry and motion take Richards as it is ultimate prize. With the brief tension of the Confederacy come to a quick and glorious end in the summer of 1862. There are so many things that happened in a short span of a year that I find it hard to believe that all this happened. Reporting you from my friends in the mix, Trey Bowson signing off. Back to you, Jake.
Thank you, Trey. We now go live to Jeremy as he fills us in on the events that transpired in the year 1863.
Good evening, Jake. We're live from the battlefield. And a lot of things have happened this past year. We've lost many people due to this war. In January, President Lincoln signed his Emancipation Proclamation, In February, the Cherokee Indians joined the Union in fighting for the Civil War. Last March, West Virginia voted for gradual emancipation in their state. On April 7th, there was a naval attack in South Carolina. On May 10th, Stonewall Jackson, or more formally known as Andrew Jackson, died. On May 19th, the Battle of Vicksburg kicked off with Ulysses S. Grant battling John Pemberton, and the Battle of Vicksburg was ended due to Pemberton surrendering. In August, General Lee offered to resign as a commander of the Army of Northern Virginia. In September, the Battle of Chickamauga took place from September 18th to September 20th. During that, Ulysses S. Grant is named the commander of the Military Division of Mississippi, and Lincoln calls for 300,000 additional troops. Lincoln also gave his famous Gettysburg Address on November 19, 1863, and in December, Lincoln issued his Proclamation of Amnesty and Reconstruction. And that's it, folks. I'm Jeremy, and keep it with CWIC, and that's the latest.
Thank you, Jeremy. We now go to Dylan live as he fills in on the events that have transpired in the year 1864.
Thanks, Jake. Good evening, everyone. We are live from CWI Studios, where we are doing a special recap of this year, 1846. This year started off with Lincoln appointing General Grant to command all the armies of the Union on March 2nd. On March 10th, the Red River Campaign officially began. The Battle of Wilderness began in Virginia, the opening battle of the Overland Campaign and General Grant's first battle, as it resulted in many casualties for both the Confederate and the Union, but ended in the Union siege of Petersburg. On May 7th, the Atlanta Campaign began with the Union armies. General William T. Sherman marched south to the from Tennessee into Georgia. June 27th, Sherman's army engages in a battle with Johnston that lasts until July 2nd, when Johnston's army retreats. July 14th, Jubal's early troops arrive in Washington and trade cannon fire with the Union as President Lincoln watches on as reinforcements arrive and force Jubal's army to finally retreat. July 14th through 15th, the Union Army defeats Nathan Bedford Forrest, secured the line to Sherman's army in Atlanta. September 1st, in the fall of Atlanta, Georgia and Confederate troops under General Hood evacuate the city of Atlanta. November 8th, re-elected President of the United States. December 10th, Sherman's army takes Fort McAllister and forces Confederate troops to evacuate the city. December 14th, Hood's army is defeated and the threat of Tennessee ends. That is all for today. Thank you, Jake.
Hear thee! Hear thee! The war is over! The Civil War ended at Appomattox Courthouse on April 9th, 1865! Thank you, Dylan. And that's the way the cookie crumbles. Thank you for watching, and go make your day super.